Okie dokie. It is March 28th, 2023. This follows the finance video in full, but as a supplement, I wanted to reconcile one more time. I am going to voice it live. We'll see how that goes. But we have the bank statement and QuickBooks. We're going to get signed in. Okay, so this is the home page of QuickBooks. You can find it just upper left, hit home. It'll bring you here. We're going to reconcile. Make sure that it says cash in bank, First Western, that is the checking account. The statement date, so go by this date, February 28th. The beginning balance, it's always good to double check it. That would be taking it from your last reconciliation, so it should match, but I've run into it maybe once or twice where it doesn't, but your previous balance would match your beginning balance, and then ending balance is your current balance. Now I have pre-reconciled this, so I know that we're not missing any receipts, so this will be quick. Should clip right along here. So the dollar amount is already entered there, but that just came from the current balance. Also, under interest earned, it's going to be called interest paid on here. Oh, that's year total. 2023 interest paid is that $300. Interest paid for this month is over in this column, so $151.27. So that's already entered as well. I just choose a date toward the end of the month. It doesn't actually say what day it goes in, but it would be toward the end of the month. Anything before your statement date. Then you hit continue. This is assigning a class that's more for our budgeting. I don't use the class column anymore. I didn't the first year. Brady Martz came in to train, just teach me a few new tricks. That was one of the things they added, and I decided that I didn't really care for the classification. The line items cover it. There's no need for classes. So this pops up every now and then. You do not have to assign a class. You do have to assign a budget line. All right, so this is the reconcile page. I hide transactions after the statement's end date so that you're only dealing with February's transactions. And I sort both. This is expenses. This is income. I sort both of them by amount. Just makes it easier to find. And I only do one side at a time. Don't switch back and forth between income and expenses like your statement will. It's too easy to unclick something. So I do all of one and then come back and do all of the other. So let's go ahead and start with expenses. I'm not sure how much of the statement you can see. I need like two things happening here, but that's what I tried to do last time, and it just didn't turn out the way I had hoped. So I'm doing a second one, and this one may not be any easier to see, but it will be real time, so that helps a little. So I just go down the statement column, look for all of the expenses, so the negative line next to it, $859. Like I said, I did pre-reconcile this one, so that's why there's color on this already. So we'll be using blue for this round. $385.90 for Heartland. $148.20 for Mix Stickers. That would be gift shop. You become familiar with your vendors for sure. There was a point in time where we were going to go with Brady Martz to do our own, to do everything, to keep our books for us. That was decided the budget cycle before I was hired. And I asked to keep the books in my care for that first year so that I would understand where our finances went. I stand by that decision. I think having your finger on the finances and looking through each statement piece by piece each month really does matter. Plus, I don't know how much time your executive director would save gathering everything for Brady Marts. It's the same amount of work to just do it yourself. Oops. So see, I hit the wrong one here. I meant to hit that 84 right above it. So you just click it again and it becomes bold again. But it's really easy to not know which one you hit and then you start over. But we should be fine. Plus it was the next one to hit anyway. And all this time we're watching these numbers down here. So we need this difference line to become 0. So that was a big one, so a big check. So you can watch that difference line. Pops up to 169,000. Hit that big check that was forwarded on for the capital campaign. And it comes down to 4,000. So it's like a game. You can watch that go back and forth. But ultimately it needs to be 0. Okay, we're on page 5 with expenses. So far, so good. Now, in a normal reconciliation month, you'll probably run into missing receipts, things that were paid for on the credit card, things that are automatic renewals. The drive is one that comes up every month. Canva comes up every month. You just have to go back in and do 10. Page 6. Heartland is another one. The Heartland does our credit card processing in the gift shop, and the fees are one lump sum, and those fees are often not entered. I don't get a paper copy of that receipt, and I enter all of the income from the gift shop off of the receipts, the daily deposits. Oops. Stop talking. Pay attention. I don't think I completed that thought. So Heartland's credit card fees don't get entered until I see the statement. And I can go back and get Heartland's statement too. But I enter it off of here. $340. Now, that should be all the expenses for the month of February. And if you look at it, it's gray. Gray and not bold, white and bold. Just scroll down. They are all selected. Now, that doesn't always happen. A company may not cash that check within the same month that you wrote it, so it's going to stay white and bold, and that's okay. That'll show up in your next statement. So now we flip over the statement back to the front page, and we're going to do revenue. Now for this demonstration, I'm going to skip over everything that says square, because that's another thing that gets added when I'm doing the reconciliation. So we're going to skip over the square ones. I'm just going to mark them with a dot, and we'll come back to the square ones. So for now, we are just doing revenue. Same way as expenses, just working down the statement. That one's a square. That one's a square. And I usually don't notice that they are square transactions until I go searching for them in the column and they're not there. That one's a square. Page 3 of revenue, square. 347.62. Now, in that first finance video where we were entering revenue from the gift shop, we called that in the memo deposit Heartland, and this is the batch number at the end. So that will match our original paperwork when processing the deposits at the end of the day. So that also matches up here. It does not say the batch number on your statement, but it will say Heartland. And so you can find kind of by date which one is missing if you need to go back to the original documents. Square. 409.46. 208.64. 212. Square. 154 square. Page 4. Square. 515. 1742. Square. 391. Square. 47. 454. Okay. Page 5. Square. Square. Heartland at 45. 85. 159. This is a square. 164 is square. 491. 677. Page 6. $7. 27.93. Square. Oops, hit the wrong one. Just hit it again and hit the one that you meant to. Okay. Square. 179. Page 7. 213. This is a good one here. It says interest deposit, 151.27. If you remember from the first page where it said interest paid, 151.27. So you entered that in when you came into this window. So that is right down here, 151.27. So it does show up in your statement also, but it's already entered, so you don't have to click it. Okay, so we made it all the way through our revenue. The only thing that is left are our square deposits. Now we can tell that our difference is it's positive, so that it's a revenue piece that we're missing. So we're in good shape there. What we do next is then add up all of the square transactions on the statement and then sign into Square. Just open up Chrome. Here, we'll go through it. In your shortcuts at the top, QB is QuickBooks. It's where your Heartland sign-in is as well. Exclamation point or no exclamation point? Ta-da! So this is Square. You'll hit reports. Now when we were, no, I'll take that back. It can go either way. When you enter it as revenue in QuickBooks, in your actual ledger, you'll need to first find your total, which I did before we came here. So I know it's from January 31st to February 28th. After adding up everything in the statement, this is what it comes to. And if I click those dates, oh, wrong month because we're doing February. January 31st to February 28th. And then my total will come to 4868.86, which is what everything on the statement added up to be. Okay, so we know we have our dates correct. Then we go to items because everything has to be itemized with your budget lines. So then this will break it all down, and I actually kind of like the mobile view of it better. So let's just make this little. There we go. Okay, so these are all the items that were sold, or totals of all the items. I made it a little bit too small. You can't tell what that says. Oops. I know that this is Canvas Course and Conservation for members and for non-members. If you expand the window again, you can see that. Donations are right now being collected for capital campaign only. Sometimes you'll be doing a drive for enrichment or whatever it happens to be. Just know what your buttons are for that month. All of your memberships can be added together. We don't keep track of dollar amounts sold for each type of membership. We keep track of the number of those memberships that are sold, so we don't need the dollar amount. So memberships can all be added all together, and then this is all entered as a transaction in your ledger in QuickBooks. That's where you do that Control S to split the transaction. That gives you options for your budget lines. Okay, so that's all been done. Here, I'll open this up here. So it was done. This is the deposit for Square. These are all of the things that we made in February and the amounts. So this is that control split. It gives you the options for all of your budget lines, different amounts, any memos that you need, and it totals up to what was in the statement. That does include your Square fees, your credit card processing fees, and then we had a membership that was a duplicate, so that's a return. So it does include all of that. So save and close. It's already been entered, so I can click this. Oops, mark that one. Ta-da! Now you'll notice that the difference is a penny off. You can go back through and find where your penny was. I know that I have reconciled this This is the third time now. I will actually hit reconcile this time. Sometimes it's a penny off. I'm sorry. So at Dakota Tax, Randy, he does our taxes. I've asked him how he feels about discrepancies in QuickBooks. He said it's actually a little on the tricky side if you don't have an occasional discrepancy. Now, if you're $90 off, redo it because you're missing a transaction. If you're $10 off, you're probably missing a transaction. Most of my differences have been less than $1. A penny, I'm not going to go looking for it. Sorry. So we're going to hit reconcile now. And it will prompt you, hey, you're $1 off. Your discrepancy is here. What do you want us to do about it? So you can tell it to enter the adjustment. Now this will be reflected in your budget under interest. So I just subtract or add. Sometimes you add. Actually, I think that was an extra penny. How about that? I'm pretty sure that was an extra penny. I'll have to go back and look. Sometimes it will. Oh, I put those two lines together. Interest and discrepancies. They're in the same line. It's always positive. I mean, of course it is because it's interest. I digress. One thing I should have pointed out before I hit reconcile now, there was one revenue transaction that was not clicked. If you notice the date is February 28th, it will likely be on the next statement. It's a gift shop transaction on the last day of the month. Okay, so select your reconciliation reports. I don't print them. I save them as a PDF, and then I back those up. We'll say quarterly. It's probably more frequently than that, but I back them up on an external drive that lives in the safe right over there. So we save, there'll be 4 pieces here. We save it as a PDF. Because usually I save it as today's date, but because this is late in the month for me to be doing this, I am going to save it as February 1st. I think that's dangerous also. March 1st. That's the one I'm missing. We're going to save it as March 1st. End of February. Okay, March 1st. And this is the first. See how they're all saved the same? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, number 1 of our QuickBooks reconciliation. Save. Close. It will automatically open the next one. File. Save. 23/03, March 1st. This is the second one. Close. Okay, that was 2 of 4, right? Now we have to reconcile our savings account. Never forget your savings account, which is on the last page of your statement. So here, we'll click on Savings instead. Date is still the same, the 28th. Our previous balance, $191,236.50 is correct. And then our ending balance, it's funny. So this one is called ending balance like QuickBooks calls it. In your checking account, it's called current balance. I've never caught that before. Ending balance is $191,236.50, which matches interest earned. Will still be under interest paid, 0. It's all a lump sum annually in your savings account. You can go ahead and hide transactions by the statement date. Difference is 0. Reconcile now. Display. File. Save as a PDF. 2023, March 1st. This is the third one. File. Save. 2023, March 1st. This is the fourth one. And I've already scanned this bank statement, so that's number 5 every month. I'll show you where to find the P&L, profit and loss statement, and then the budget, which was also already updated for this month off of my pre-reconcile. Save number 4. Close. And that's that. And we can close QuickBooks. I didn't show you the P&L. It's under reports. You kind of go down halfway and there's a standard P&L. Sorry, we'll show you that next time. Actually, it's on the long version of the financial statement. Please check that out. Thanks. See you at the zoo.